Hi, I'm Sam Kelly, and I'm applying to the Computer Science Master's Program for Fall 2014. I have a lot of varied interests in computer science, but a major overarching interest for me is coming up with new algorithms and data structures. I find algorithms and data structures particularly appealing because these areas affect virtually all subfields of computer science, and because of the tantalizing idea that there might be important, maybe even fundamental data structures and novel algorithms for solving classical problems just waiting to be discovered. Another major area of interest for me is artificial intelligence and machine learning. I have been utterly fascinated with AI since early on in my high school career. I even implemented a backpropagation artificial neural network library for my high school senior project, and I was able to successfully teach networks to learn optical character recognition using my library. Ultimately, I became entranced by the ability of artificial neural networks to adaptively learn and to produce correct outputs for inputs they have never seen before. I have also always seen this very strong, deep connection between the hyperparallel nature of neural networks and the sort of setup I imagine would be necessary to create artificial consciousness. After studying artificial intelligence, philosophy of mind, and phenomenology extensively, I have come to suspect that some recurrent artificial neural networks might have something very loosely akin to phenomenal states, or rather, there might be a very slight what it is like to be a recurrent artificial neural network. More importantly, the hyperparallel feedback loop that exists in recurrent artificial neural networks seems conceptually similar to the sort of feedback loop that likely gives rise to human consciousness. As a computer science and philosophy double major, I am philosophically committed to the idea that human consciousness is computable, and that therefore artificial consciousness is possible. Instead of seeing this as something bleak, I see it as a beacon of hope. Only by understanding consciousness and creating artificial consciousness can we come to truly understand ourselves. That said, I also have a large number of more conventional interests in artificial intelligence and machine learning, including genetic algorithms, artificial neural networks, situated cognition, and deep learning. In fact, I recently found out that this summer I will be doing deep learning research under David Aha at the Navy Research Lab in DC, so I'm extremely excited about that. I also have a strong interest in public key cryptography and number theory, specifically leveraging number-theoretic techniques to efficiently factor incredibly large square-free semiprimes. I have been fascinated by the intractability of integer factorization and have studied it as a hobby since my sophomore year in high school. Eventually, I stumbled upon the minor result that finding the average of the two prime factors of a semiprime is actually equivalent to factoring the semiprime because of a neat algebraic trick. I dubbed these average numbers centers, and continued researching center numbers for years, well into college, eventually using machine learning techniques to try to detect patterns in the relationship between semiprimes and their respective centers. As far as I know, no one else in the number theory community does research on these center numbers, and there doesn't even seem to be very much general awareness that they exist as a distinct entity. But I think these numbers should definitely be studied more. Eventually, one of my neural networks converged and found a pattern, though it would take me 2 years to figure out exactly what it was that it had learned. As a result, I now have an unpublished algorithm completely unknown to the scientific community, where if you give me an arbitrary square-free semiprime, regardless of magnitude, I can tell you in constant time whether the center for that semiprime is divisible by each member of the set 2, 3, 6, or 12. And with more memory complexity, I can give probabilistic results for whether the center is divisible by arbitrary factors. During my master's, my main objective would be to study the wide variety of areas I'm interested in, including algorithms and data structures, AI, machine learning, cryptography, and possibly cybersecurity and compilers. I would very much like to conduct a master's thesis on a topic that interests me, and there are many possibilities for this which I would like to explore once in grad school. I also want to publish a few papers while I get my master's, hopefully including a paper covering my integer factorization discovery. Eventually, I want to do government-funded computer science research, perhaps at the Navy Research Lab, one of the Department of Energy national labs, or at one of the three-letter intelligence agencies. I would also be perfectly happy working in an industry setting, perhaps at Google, Microsoft, or even Intel or Valve, where I would be able to do research but also contribute to engaging software development projects. Thank you again for taking the time to consider my application.